We had gotten into a topic that a lot of people have touched on, but I think you've sort of expanded it and made it more understandable, and that is the fact that the lifetime of modern Israel from 1948 to the present and on into the immediate future is something like the lifetime of a human being as given in the Bible.
Right, because Jesus says that the generation will not pass away. There in the parable of the fig tree in Matthew 24. So we have to say, what is a generation? And a lot of people were thinking maybe a generation was 40 years. And I can understand, if you're living in the 80s, you want Jesus to come back in the 80s. I mean, it makes perfect sense. But the reality is that the Bible never said that a generation was 40 years. It was actually taken erroneously from Numbers 32, where it says that all the men of the generation that heard the 12 spies come back and said, we're not interested, he says that they will wander the wilderness for 40 years. But the part that people have missed is that it says all those who are 20 and above will wander for 40 years. So the time of a generation, the minimum time of a generation is 60 years. And the ideal is given to us in Psalm 90 verse 10, which says that the days of our lives are 70 years, or if by reason of strength, 80. So that is really the ideal for a lifetime, as we see in the Bible, and that will tell us how long we have basically from 1948 until the second coming.
And that does make it interesting because we see a quickening of events in the Middle East right now. I think most people have the sense that something is about to happen. I personally have said that I think it's only the hand of God that's keeping things from collapsing over there right now because of all the drama in the Middle East.
I think we're seeing a convergence of events and prophetic events. I mean, we see the solar flares that are supposed to happen between this year and next year, maybe 2014. We see something very interesting that was discovered by Mark Biltz, that there will be a series of four lunar eclipses between 2014 and 2015 that fall on biblical feast days.
And you have this on your DVD, by the way, and it's very interesting. Mark Biltz really found something fascinating, but I believe it's on Passover and Sukkot in 2014, 2015, that there will be total eclipses. Now, this is not an event that happens every day, is it?
Not at all. In fact, what he discovered, and I went back and double-checked him because I don't want to put my reputation on the line for bad information. I went back to the NASA website and I went and looked at what he said, and what I found on NASA is that sure enough there were four lunar eclipses back in 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue and the Jews got kicked out of Spain and Portugal. All right, so that was the major event that happened in the lifetime of the Jewish people. Then you have it happening again between 1949 and 1950, which is just on the heels of the War of Independence. You then have it again in 1967, very close to the Six-Day War. So each one of these is a pretty big milestone in the life of the Jewish people. So therefore, when we think about 2014 and 2015, again, it's very suggestive. None of us knows all. We don't know anything. We can't read the future. We can just see what we see in the Bible. But it's very suggestive that between 2014 and 2015, or slightly after that, that something major is going to happen. Could it be the time of the beginning of Jacob's trouble, which is going to last 3.5 years? That's the latter half of the tribulation.
Well, that falls right into the timeline. If Israel was born May 14th, 1948, you count forward 70 years. Where do you come? What year do you arrive at?
You have 2018 to 2028.